Sorry, I joined 1 minute late.
Oh, it's okay, Xander. I just got here myself. So I just look at the clock. I'm like, oh, it's class time. So it's fine. You know what? We all do that. I appreciate you telling me. Good morning, everybody. I don't think I'm muted, am I? No. Okay. Yes, I'm still working. Good. All right. I kind of wait for other people to come in. I'm going to play a little video for you. I think you guys are going to like this too. Hang on. Let me log into my YouTube account. Yes, I have a YouTube account. It's actually for the school.
We'd never put them before.
Okay, so this is, oh, hang on, I got to share it. So automotive repair has a really bad reputation of ripping people off, okay? And yes, it does happen. I think I've told you it's happened to me on a number of different levels, okay? Any which way you can possibly think of. Repairs that should have been done and I paid for that weren't done. My car driven excess miles when I've left it at dealerships. You know, people try and tell me I need repairs done on certain vehicles that totally are false and don't need to be done. So it happens out there, and you just kind of have to kind of be an educated consumer, is what I always tell you. So I'm going to play an undercover video. This is interesting. Okay, we're waiting a couple minutes. So let me share. Now I'll do this one here. Hang on, bring this over here. Okay. Can you guys see that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is undercover. This is a number of years old, but it's still relevant. Okay.
Undercover, investigating something that really affects all of us at one time or another, getting your car repaired.
Sorry, had somebody pop their head in and ask me a question. Okay, let me play this for you.
This time, investigator Joel Grover has uncovered a new scheme that's never before been caught on tape until now. Joel is here tonight with the latest on his 3-month investigation. Joel.
Well, Paul, imagine going to get your car repaired.
I can't make it any clearer. I'm sorry. It's just what it is. Can you hear it okay?
Yeah, I can hear it fine.
Yeah.
Okay, it's still fuzzy, but I think you can still kind of get it.
Paying for it and then finding out the work was never even done. With the help of insiders, we've uncovered an apparent scheme at some repair shops that are part of a nationwide chain with 30 million customers a year.
40, 60, 80, 100.
We shelled out a lot of cash at repair shops across
Maybe if
town.
I make it smaller.
But were the repairs we paid for
No.
really done? Listen to this former insider. Does this happen to customers a lot?
Every day.
Customers of America's biggest lube and tune chain, Jiffy Lube. To conduct our investigation, we wired 2 test cars with hidden cameras in places we'd never put them before to watch mechanics from every angle. Then we drove one of those cars to this Encino Jiffy Lube to get an oil change. A service advisor named Leo recommends more repairs, like changing the fuel filter. We tell them, go ahead and do it. $240. And then we pay up. But they didn't change the fuel filter. We know that because before taking our car in, we lowered the gas tank so I could get to the fuel filter and mark it with a big 4. After leaving that Encino Jiffy Lube, we checked the fuel filter and the original one with the 4 was still in the car. Why didn't they change the fuel filter?
So easy for them to get away with it. And why go through the trouble of doing it?
You charged us hard-earned money for a repair that you never did. We'll come back to Leo in just a minute. But first, watch what happens when we take our other test car to this Jiffy Lube in Canoga Park.
I'll clean the transmission fluid.
A manager named Anthony recommends a top-of-the-line transmission flush.
When you do the transmission, how does that work? What do you do with the machine?
A machine called T-Tech, which they're supposed to hook up to the transmission lines under the car to suck out all the dirty fluid. But the entire time our car was being serviced, we noticed no one ever touched that machine. And our hidden camera shows no one ever touched the transmission lines underneath. But they charged us for the T-Tech service anyway. It happened to us again at Jiffy Lube in Glendale.
Suck all the fluid out.
And in Sherman Oaks.
That's how the T-Tech service.
And in Burbank.
And you guys did this T-Tech thing too. Cool.
We got stiffed at 5 out of 9 Jiffy Lubes we tested. And no one would explain why. Hi, Leo. I'm Joel Grover. Like Leo at the Encino store. You charged us for a new fuel filter, but you never put it in this car. Why?
I remember, to be honest.
Can I show you yourself on videotape?
Yeah.
But he remembered
Okay.
Fuel filter, 48 months or 6,000 miles.
when he saw himself on tape. How do you explain this?
To be honest.
And he rushed away. Were you trying to make an easy buck off us?
No.
To call his district manager.
Channel 4's right here. Well, they caught us on camera. They didn't change the fuel filter on our Jeep.
And what would Anthony say, or how are you, at the Canoga Park Jiffy Lube? There was a camera in here watching you the whole time. You charged us for a transmission service that you never did. Why?
Sir, like I said, you would have to talk to my district manager.
So we tracked down the district manager, Stephen Ayub. Yeah, are you Steve Ayub? No, I'm not. Who denied his identity. Are you the district manager? No, I'm not. He tells us he's just a customer. My name's Alex. Alex, which is your car? That one. Which one? The red one. But that red car, that's your red Camaro back there? Yeah, what's going on with it? Belonged to another customer. And the district manager was lying to us. I think you're the district manager. I'd like for you to turn off the camera, and I'd appreciate it. Well, Jiffy Lube confirmed to us in this email that was the district manager. Now, they wouldn't speak with us on camera, but in a statement, they told us they take KNBC's allegations seriously, will investigate this matter fully, and take appropriate actions to prevent further occurrences. And they promised to refund us all the money for all those repairs that were never done. More of our investigation tomorrow.
5 out of 9 places stiffed you?
Stiffed us. Charges for repairs they did not do.
Anybody in upper management talk to you at all?
They will not speak to us on camera. They say it wasn't to their benefit.
Okay.
We drilled holes in the underside of this car so we could hide tiny cameras to watch Jiffy Lube technicians at work.
240.
What we found is that they didn't always do the repairs they charged us for.
In my opinion, they're committing a crime. They're selling you something knowing they're not going to change it.
Like at this Jiffy Lube in Glendale, where they sell us a $100 transmission flush.
There's a special device which you put into the transmission. It sucks all the fluid out.
But that device just sat in the corner, and our cameras show it was never hooked up to the transmission lines as promised. They still charged us for the work.
20, 40, and 12.
This footage you've shown me makes me furious.
That was Jiffy Lube's spokesperson 3 years ago.
This is wrong and it needs addressed.
It looks like it needs an engine flush.
When we caught employees selling us unnecessary repairs, a violation of company policy.
You feel dirty.
Jiffy Lube promised to conduct additional training to prevent more violations of their policies.
The training's a joke.
This insider says part of that training was how to spot a Channel 4 undercover customer.
Instead of telling us not to do these things. They're telling us how to avoid getting caught doing it.
But we caught them just last month at a Jiffy Lube in Encino. Before taking our car here, we marked the oil filter with a happy face. A technician there tells us they're going to change the fuel filter and oil filter.
So that's 207 for what now? The oil
So
change?
filter, oil change, and transmission.
But watch this. They bring over a new oil filter, set it down on our car, but then a few minutes later, they take it away without ever putting it in. After our visit, I found the old filter was still in there, even though we'd been charged for a new one.
The problem comes from up top.
Our insider says management, like the district manager, Stephen Ayub, pushes employees to meet these internal quotas to sell at least $66 of services per car. These targets are known as budgets.
If you do not meet the budgets consistently, they're gonna find somebody else that can. So your job is on the line.
He says the only way to meet your quota is to sell as many services as possible,
So they don't have time to perform each and every single service that they sell.
which could be why the Jiffy Lube employees who we caught undercover
I don't know.
wouldn't talk to us.
Can I set up an appointment to talk to you?
Even the district manager tried to duck our questions
You're not Stephen Ayub, no.
by pretending to be someone else.
I think you're Stephen Ayub, the district manager. I'm not Stephen Ayub, but I'm not a district manager. Can I see some ID? No.
This is over a number of years.
Tonight, we've learned that America's biggest name in car repair is making sweeping changes, and that it's in direct response to Joel Grover's investigation. Is your mechanic cheating? Joel is here right now with some new developments.
Yes,
What did you say?
I said this is over a number of years.
Okay.
Part one was at one time, part two is 3 years later, and then this is again a number of years later. So it's not all at the same time. This is just an ongoing, they're checking back and seeing what's going on.
Okay.
Joel.
Well, Colleen, it was just 3 weeks ago that we uncovered a scheme at local Jiffy Lube stores where customers were charged for repairs that were never even done. Now, in this email, Jiffy Lube tells me it's taking aggressive steps to stop the fraud that we uncovered. This Sherman Oaks Jiffy Lube is closed today and tomorrow because the company is retraining all the employees. 4 other LA area stores are also closed. All stores that we caught on tape charging for services
20, 40, and 12.
like a transmission flush
I'll change the transmission fluid.
that were never done. After our investigation aired, dozens of customers, like Dory Rodine of Canoga Park, wondered if the same thing had happened to them. Do you think Jiffy Lube ever charged you for repairs they didn't do?
I'm very concerned about that.
To ease those concerns, Jiffy Lube says it's installing video cameras in 31 LA area stores, so customers can make sure the repairs are really getting done. Jiffy Lube has also fired 6 employees who we caught on tape, like this one at the Encino store, who sold us a new fuel filter,
Fuel filter every 48 months or $6,000.
but later
So I kind of know a little background on this. This employee was not fired. They never fired him. They just moved him to a different store.
admitted to the district manager they didn't do the work.
10-4's right here. Well, we caught it on camera.
Also gone is the district manager, Stephen Ayub,
Are you the district manager? No, I'm not.
who denied his identity to me 3 weeks ago when I tried to question him.
I'm not Stephen Ayub, but I'm not a district manager. Can I see some ID? No.
This is now the 3rd time since 2003 that Jiffy Lube told us it was cleaning up its act.
This is wrong and it needs addressed.
With these latest changes, Jiffy Lube hopes customers like Dory Rodine will give it one more chance.
Are these steps enough to get you back as a customer?
That's difficult to say, Joel. I'm really not sure.
Now, you might wonder why someone from Jiffy Lube didn't appear in this report. Well, the company still won't sit down and talk with us about our investigation or even about the steps they're taking to clean up. And these are pretty comprehensive steps from
You're
what
going
we've
to keep
seen.
trying, aren't you?
We are.
All right, Joel, thanks a lot.
So I've got, hang on, let me bring this back over. I've got a lot of videos and different ones, not even just Jiffy Lube, different repair shops. I got ones that deal with brakes. I got ones that deal with all different kinds of things, right? Undercover stuff. Women, and one of the women is actually a master ESC tech, and they actually bug the cars, and they do the whole thing with the cameras, and it's over and over and over again. So what's 6 out of 9 shops? What is that? That they try to, that's 60% almost, isn't it? Yeah, almost 60% of the shops that they found, and that was just Jiffy Lube. You'll find this at different shops throughout the United States, all different types of shops. They try and do this. So the best way to make sure you don't get ripped off is to education, which is this class will provide that for you. But then you also want to watch. So Jiffy Lube was putting in cameras so you could watch the service on your car from the waiting room. They did that on their own. So that way, because you can't go into the shop area, the insurance won't allow you in the shop area. Customers can't go in there and actually get into the car and watch. So now they can stay in the waiting area, and with the cameras, they can actually watch and see, do they actually take the machine and hook it up to the transmission and do what they're supposed to do. So that's one way they were kind of battling it. But that one employee, sorry, my allergies, that one employee was never fired. He was moved, and because there's other parts to this they follow up on. And then later on, Jiffy Lube was fined $4 million by the state of California, the largest fine in the state's history for the Bureau of Automotive Repair, because they kept going back and they kept finding him doing it over and over and over again. And they weren't firing employees, they were just moving them around different locations. So you think they're gone, but they're not. So it just kind of goes on and on and on. So the moral of this is, if you get into this career area, automotive repair, treat each customer as if it's your mom or your sister or your girlfriend or whoever, your boyfriend, to treat them like that, because would you want your parent ripped off? How would you feel if they were ripped off? Like, oh, wow, that's just totally wrong. They work hard for that money, and you think you're taking care of your car and you're not. So there's a lot of things. So I don't know what's going on with Jiffy Lube with that. If they're still around, I don't even see their locations anymore. This story might have really damaged them so much. I know Easy Lube was another one that they went around and they found them doing the same thing. So you got to just, if you pay for something and you got to just watch. I just stand back and I just watch and just make sure, like they were marking the oil filters and they were marking the fuel filters. You could try something like that, or you could just stand outside the stall in the area where, and then just see, are they hooking up the machine? Are they actually taking my filter off? Are they draining the oil? I watched a video yesterday where they'll sell you the synthetic oil, but they won't put it in. They put the regular oil in, but still charge you for the synthetic oil. So it's your ethics and your morals and your character and your honesty that you bring to the job. I was raised as a Catholic, and I know my 10 commandments, and and I try and abide by those. And I don't steal because I don't like to be stolen from. I hate it because I've been stolen from and had things ripped off, and it's terrible. So and it's not right. So it's what you bring to if somebody, your manager or something, tells you, I need you to do this, I would leave that job. I wouldn't change your character and your morals and your ethics for a job. You can always find another job, but who you are as a person, you don't want to be dishonest and do stuff like that. And then on the flip side of that, if you hear about an honest mechanic, I might have even told you this story. I was working at La Habra, teaching auto over there. This is a number of years ago. And the teacher I shared the room with, he had a problem with his brakes. They were making a lot of noise when he would brake. He could hear in the back there. They sounded like they were grinding, and he knew that he said, he came to me and said, yeah, I'm gonna probably have to spend a couple $100 to get this fixed, but what can I do? I need to get it done. So he took it to a shop that was like across the street, from the high school that I had heard about. I didn't know much about it, and dropped the car off. Later on that day, I asked him, after he picked it up, I said, what happened with your truck? He said, the guy said it just needed a little adjustment and charged me $20. So when you hear stuff like that, that your ears should perk up. That's an honest mechanic. And that's probably where you want to take your car. So once you hear that there's an honest mechanic and the guy is doing things the way it should be done, then you make a mental note of that. Like when you do need a repair done or you do need a service done or whatever it is, you go over there because you've heard that they're honest. And hopefully they'll do the same thing to you. So anybody have any input in that? Any questions at all? Does this surprise any of you?
Personally, I'm not really surprised by it.
Okay, great. Thanks, Aiden. Anybody else?
I've heard of this stuff before too.
Yeah, it's pretty, and you know what? I didn't experience it until I started teaching it. And then once I started teaching it, and then I started taking my car into different shops and my daughter's car, my wife's car to have service done, and or my brother-in-law's car over the years, and then realizing, dang, man, they really, they do some stuff that's just, it's just wrong. You know, I've paid for repairs and thought that they were done, and then I've had to go into the same area where that repair was done, like maybe months later, and then I noticed that what they said they changed wasn't changed because it was covered by a cover, and it was like timing belt. And when I went in to do the water pump, which was right there where the timing belt was, I could tell the timing belt hadn't been done, but I paid for it, and just like almost $400 too. So I went back there. It was Pep Boys, and I told them, I said, you know, you guys charged me for this repair a couple months back, and I was just in there doing my water pump, and you know what, that belt was never replaced. So they gave me a full credit for it. But how about the other times and other people that don't find that out? You know, that don't you know, see that the repair wasn't done. And I think I told you about a friend of mine. His name's Dave Lopez. I think he might be retired now. He teaches at Automotive at Fullerton College. I think he's actually the department head over there. And we started teaching at high school around the same time. He was almost a 20-year Honda technician, and he started teaching high school, and then he went over to start teaching college a couple of years after that. He actually would tell his classes that when he was a technician, and he wasn't proud of it, but, and I think I might have mentioned this already, that, you know, he didn't have any work, and if he wasn't making any work, it was all commission, and he had a family and he had to make money. So a car would come in that he'd tell them that they need a new alternator, but they didn't need a new alternator, just so he could sell them an alternator and generate the repair, you know. And now he's teaching college. So just to tell you how prevalent it is out there, you know. Me personally, nothing's going to make me be dishonest, because you know, I'm the one that's got to lay my head down on my pillow at the end of the day and live with that, you know, because again, I wouldn't want it done to me, so I don't do it to any other people. You know, I don't think it's right. It's stealing. It's just flat out stealing. So don't let anybody pressure you to do that kind of stuff. Okay, so you're the person who brings the honesty into this profession. All right, let me pull up my. So I know when you guys leave, I know sometimes your internet will drop. I'm totally okay with that. Okay. Oh, okay, good question, Matt. If the timing belt doesn't get changed every 100,000 miles on an inline motor, could cause the motor to blow up. No, the motor won't blow up. So if you have a timing belt, it needs to be changed roughly about every 100,000 miles. Sometimes it's 60,000 miles. What'll happen is if that timing belt breaks, depending on the configuration of the motor and the clearances in there between the valves and the pistons, okay? If the timing belt breaks, and I've had it happen on my car, I've had it happen on some family member's car, the engine will usually stop. And then, you know, there's no way to start it until you get in there and get the timing belt back on there again. Because what the timing belt does, it synchronizes the valves open and closing with the pistons moving up and down. But if you're moving fast and the clearances, depending on your motor, right? If those pistons come up really close to the valves, and some do come close, and now that belt is broken and it can't control the opening and closing, there is a possibility that the valves and the pistons can collide. And then you're going to do some damage. Okay, if that happens, depending on how fast you're going. When mine broke, I was going at very low speed, so it didn't do any damage to the engine at all. I just had to change the belt, have it towed, and then have the belt changed. So they do go sometimes. They usually last longer than what they're supposed to last, but they're pretty close on their service interval on that. So check your owner's manual, follow your service designation on that. I try and buy cars that don't have belts anymore because I don't want to pay that reoccurring every 60 or 90 or 100,000 miles, or do it. I don't want to have to get in there and pull off the side of my motor to change the belt. So my Camry hybrid I have now has a chain. I think my wife's car has I think most of the cars now have a chain. So, and that alleviates that whole belt. But actually my van I'm driving, the belt hasn't been changed for 120,000 miles. So it's at the point where it actually could break. And then I'm going to get stuck. So you just kind of reminded me that I probably need to either do that myself or have it done. Depending, my back doesn't hold up anymore, leaning over a car that for the hours like that anymore. So I got to see. Maybe if I got a good day, I'll do it myself. But timing belt, we'll learn that when we go over the engines. Timing belts synchronize the valve open and closing with so it connects the crankshaft and the camshaft together. And you can have a chain lasts for the life of the engine. You can have gears in there, so you don't have a chain, you don't have a belt. They're actually gears. Not too many motors are like that. A lot of them do have belts, so you have to make sure you watch when that needs to be done. And usually when you're in there, it's right there where the water pump is. There might be another type of belt in there too. I forget what that belt's for. There's sometimes another belt that's in there. You should replace them all at the same time and do the water pump because you already got everything apart. And the water pump, might go at some time, and you don't want to take all that time to take the side of the motor off again just to do the water pump when you could have done it when you did the water belt. So the water belt, the timing belt. Okay. All right. So today, actually, let me take roll before I forget. Okay. I saw some of you guys come in. Yeah, don't take off because that's going to affect your participation grade. Your participation grade is 40% of your grade right now because we're all online. So I see a student that came in and then he dropped off. And I make a note of that. Okay. This just take me a second. And usually if you're late, you know what, I'm not a stickler with that. But don't stress about that too much.
Mr. B,
Mm-hmm.
I'm drawing this map where every country is in the equator and like 2/3 of the world can fit in the equator.
Oh, you mean like everything's in the middle of the planet?
Yeah. So everything's basically a jungle.
Oh, interesting. Huh. That's all what the plant, the plate, what do they call it? Plate tectonics or something, right?
Tectonic plate.
Yeah, how they move. Isn't that what the movie 2012 is all about?
I think so.
I don't know if you've seen that one, where the plates all get unstable.
Yeah.
I can't watch that. It's kind of depressing. It's pretty cool, the action, but then it's like, okay, it's too much like drama and like it gets me too wired before I try and go to sleep. Okay, So we are going to cover, we're going to go into repair orders, okay? And this is a state law, you probably know this already, that we can't touch as a technician. We're not allowed to do any work on a car unless we have a repair order completely filled out down to the exact penny of what that repair is going to cost. And the owner of the vehicle signs that, authorizes it, and then now we can then go do the repair. We are not allowed to do anything other than what's been authorized unless we go and get that other work authorized, reauthorized. So if you're in there as a technician working on a car and you notice somebody's tire is getting ready to blow out, okay? You can see the steel belts, all right? You can't be a good guy and just slap a tire on the car for them because you know you're going to probably save them from having a blowout, right? And maybe a bad accident, and then charge them that extra. You can't do that. So if you put anything on a car or do any service to a car without them authorize it, they are not responsible. They're not liable to pay for it. And I've had shops do that to me too. They'll do something and I'll just say, you know what, I never authorized it and I'm not paying for it. You know, and I don't, I just deduct it. And if they want to like take it to court, which is the only thing they can do is sue you. And I've been sued and I've sued other people, you know, from businesses that I've had. You know, you just bring your proof and they bring their proof and then you have a judge make the decision. It's you know, kind of like a ticket. You get a ticket and you fight it. Okay, the police officer is going to say what he saw and you're going to say what you thought happened, and the judge makes the decision. A lot of times they kind of go with the police officer because they're the expert. But you know, I've also fought them and won sometimes, and I fought them and lost. So, and sometimes police officer hasn't shown up, and that's a good thing because then you win by default. Okay, so let me hit present here, and let me share. Everybody see this okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are going to be, there's an assignment I've already assigned to you guys yesterday. It's a worksheet where you read the worksheet and you take the information out of the worksheet, and then you're going to be writing your own repair order or service order. Okay, same thing. It's kind of interchangeable. Okay, and you're going to be doing two. So you have to pay attention to what's going on today. It's really important because you're going to be either talking to the customer and asking them for their information. Okay, or with this assignment, you're going to be reading it. But if you wanted to, like, say you know all about cars, but you're just not one, you like cars, you know how they function, you know how the systems work, right? You can explain how the engine functions, you can explain how the brakes work with hydraulics, right? And the anti-lock and the sensors, and you know what the oil does, and you know where the pistons are, and you know what the maintenance is on a vehicle to keep it going, and the service requirements. But you're not really going to be a kind of person that's going to be underneath the car or going and getting tools and being a technician. You can become something that's called a service writer, okay? And they could call it something else. I'm forgetting. I should have Googled it yesterday. I think it's a service writer or repair order, RO writer or something like that. And when you go to a dealership, and some have been with your parents when you've done that, you pull up to a booth or you pull up to a certain area, and a gentleman will come out with a clipboard and say, hey, good morning, good afternoon. You know, what brings you into the dealership today? You know, how can I help you? And then you're going to say, well, I'm here to bring my car in for a 30,000 mile service, or I'm here because when I step on the brake, it's making this noise, or I have this light on my dash that just lit up the other day and I need to find out what's wrong, or blah, 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 blah. Okay. So the service writer doesn't touch a car with a tool, doesn't do the repairs. He is just the go-between between the customer and the technician that will actually do the service on your car. Okay. And they make really good money. Here's a story that the representative from Universal Technical Institute, UTI, they're a private automotive training school, and they got locations Sacramento. I've been there. I've seen that one. Long Beach. I've seen that one. Rancho Cucamonga. I've seen that one. They've been around for a long time. It's an automotive school, but you pay money for it. It's private and it's not cheap, but they do a good job. And this rep who would come and talk to my classes and tell my students all about the about the school was telling me about a girl who was a student, automotive student at Mission Viejo High School. And she was very sharp. And she had really good people skills, a really nice personality. And somehow he mentioned this to somebody. It got back to a Mercedes dealer that was in the area, which is called Fletcher Jones, very, very big Mercedes dealer down in Newport Beach, which is not far from Mission Viejo. And when she graduated high school, she started out over there as a service writer, or I think they call them, it's a little bit more of an elegant name. I forget what it is. Anyway, she started right out of high school at $60,000 a year. And she was wearing high heels and skirts, and their offices are very, very opulent, very plush, because Mercedes are expensive cars and you pay over $200 an hour for, repairs, labor. And, they have cappuccino machines in the waiting area and the nice leather luxury couches and big screen TVs and sodas in a little mini fridge, and pastries are usually there because you're paying a good amount of money. So when cars would come in, she would deal with the customer and she would talk to them and tell them what it's going to cost and tell them what was needed and so on. And because of her people skills and her knowledge, she was able to do that job very well. So she started out at 18, making $60,000 a year. By the time she was 19, she was up to 90. Service writers have very long hours, but she's young and her life hasn't gotten maybe super busy yet, right? You haven't started going to college, you haven't gotten a relationship, maybe you're not married, you don't have kids, and so on. So, and why they're long hours is because people like to drop their cars off before work, which is usually 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning, right? And people like to pick them up after work, which would be, 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the evening. So usually they're 12-hour shifts, and you also get paid on commission. So the more sales you make, the more services you sell, the more she gets paid. She gets a percentage of that. So she was doing very well. So this is something that you can think about that is an automotive career, but you're not actually doing the repairs yourself. You're explaining them to the customers and you're selling them to the customers. And then you're contacting them back and telling them, okay, your car needs this, your car needs that. It's going to cost this, it's going to cost that. And you're talking to the manufacturer, right? If it's a Toyota, you're talking to Toyota. You're trying to get things serviced on recalls. You're having things serviced on warranties, right? Extended warranties. So there's a lot of communication that you have to do. So you have to be able to, handle customers, handle phone calls, right? Be really computer literate, but you're still involved in automotive and you make really good money at it. So that's another career path. So if you pay attention here, and you like what I just told you about becoming a service writer, that might be something that you might want to kind of check into. And we're going to be setting up some internships for automotive students. So you can actually go over to different job sites in different career paths that deal with automotive, and you can job shadow and actually work alongside these people and see, yeah, this is something I want to do. This is something I can do. Or nah, that's not for me. I don't want to do that. That's not what I thought it was going to be. Let me try something else, and we can move you into a different one. So those are called internships or training sites. And Carmel Unified is actually hiring a person that's going to be setting those up. You could go work at O'Reilly's. You could go work at AutoZone at the counter. You could work back in the wholesale department, who we deal with I think it's Wanda over there, where I set the account up with. You could work at the dealership back in the repair shop, with the brake mechanic or the suspension mechanic. So these are training opportunities. Okay, so that's coming probably next year. So this is the repair side of it and filling the paperwork out and then dealing with the customer. Okay, so it's a repair order. So here's some of the words we're going to be using. These are normal words that come up when you're dealing with repair orders. Okay. Most people don't know what the heck they mean. RO means repair order. Sublet, okay, sublet means if I'm a shop and you bring your car in because it's leaking antifreeze, right, engine coolant, and I find out your radiator's no good, okay, and it can be repaired, I can take the radiator out, but I don't have the equipment or the experience to actually service a radiator. So I'll send it out to a radiator shop. The radiator shop will service the radiator, charge my shop, right? If I'm the shop owner, a certain amount, maybe $100, and then I will put it back in your car for you. I didn't actually service the radiator, okay, but I'm removing it and I'm installing it. So I subbed out the repair of the radiator. All right, and then I'm going to charge you 150. I'm going to make $50 on it. If you walked into that radiator store and you brought your own radiator, you would pay 150. They're going to charge another shop less money. It's the wholesale cost. It's like what I set up for you guys at O'Reilly's, right? We pay the wholesale cost, even though we're not a shop, we're a high school shop, but it's just kind of like just a nice way of O'Reilly saying, you know what, they appreciate what we're doing here with our students and training them for automotive, and you know they want to help you out with giving you a discount on parts. Okay, so sublet is somebody else is doing it. Labor is the action, right? So if I have a pencil, okay, and I'm going to install this pencil into the car, right, and take the old pencil out, even though there's no pencils in a car, right? My action as a technician, that's my labor. So I charge you for that. And that's down to 1/10 of an hour. Okay, 1/10 of an hour. So 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. Parts, that's the part. Okay, the pencil, I can touch it, I can feel it, I can see it. Okay, so parts are charged separately from the labor of me taking the part and putting it in and taking the old one out. Okay, got to differentiate those two things. Labor is your biggest cost on automotive repairs. Like I told you, Mercedes is over $200 an hour. Toyota, I think, is up to $150 an hour, maybe more. They go up on a regular basis. The technician does not get paid all that. They only get paid whatever their hourly wage is. The shop charges for that mechanic that amount, but they pay the mechanic separately, and then the other extra money goes towards, you know, the rent, the electricity, you know, the getting rid of the old oil and so on. Okay, tax, we all pay tax, sales tax. There's tax on parts, no tax on labor. Okay, vehicle information, that's the VIN number, that's the license number, that's the engine size, that's the year, the make, the model. Customer information, that's who the owner of the vehicle is. Okay, it has to be the owner. And then we're going to total all this stuff up, so it's going to be math. Okay, anybody have any questions?
No.
No, okay. And somebody dropped off. I heard the ding, so it tells me when somebody drops. So hang on, let me just I don't know exactly who it is until I go back and check it again. So sorry, once in a while I got to take a pause and do this. So I had a student that took his driver's test yesterday, and he logged on early and just told me, he was Bruestle, I'm taking my driver's test, so I just want to let you know I won't be here today. And then he signed off, you know, but he was nice enough to tell me, okay, I'm not going to be here. So I still marked him here, you know, but it was excused. But that's maturity. I really respect that. Yeah. All right, let's continue. All right, so we got to find the VIN number. Everybody heard the term VIN?
Yeah.
Okay, vehicle identification number. Monty, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So VIN is an acronym for vehicle identification number, right? And you can find it usually where the driver's dash and the windshield come down, right? And you can only see it from the outside of the vehicle. You got to kind of lean over where that little red circle is right there. Okay. And then it'll be on a sticker, usually on the driver's door jamb or on the driver's door. You can see it there too. Okay. You can also get it off of the documentation for the vehicle. So that would be the registration, that would be the insurance. Okay. But that's going to usually be in the center console of the vehicle, or it's going to be in the glove box. I would not go in those areas if I were you, if I was a technician. This is just my advice. Okay. People put a lot of personal stuff in their glove boxes. and their center consoles. Sometimes they will actually even lock them. You have a special key sometimes on your key ring. It's called a valet key, so you can lock up your dash, your glove compartment and your center console. So if you go out to dinner, you go out to a show, and the valets park your car, they can't get into those areas. They only have the key for the ignition, not the one for the glove box. Because sometimes you're gonna find personal stuff in there. I have found wallets. There's been purses in there when I'm trying to look for like some information about the car because I can't find it. Okay. There's been jewelry in there, weapons. There's been, I've seen guns, I've seen knives, I've seen handcuffs. You know, these are obviously law enforcement or security people. Okay. And they have their stuff in there. And you know what? If you're in there pulling information or trying to find information, then you can be blamed if something's missing. I would just totally avoid it. Wouldn't even go there. Just take it out of the equation, and then just find it where you can on the vehicle. Okay, so that's my opinion. All right, here's the VIN number. Okay, it's 17 alphanumeric digits. So it's going to be letters, it's going to be numbers in different sequences and different order. And this is what it tells you what's going on. Okay, first one is usually where the vehicle was built. Okay, what country. These two here, and you can just follow what it says here in the diagram. It says who the manufacturer is, or it could be, if it's a flex fuel car, right? It could be tied in with this character here, the 8th character, to tell you some cars run on more than one fuel, ethanol and unleaded gas. There's natural gas cars and unleaded cars. They have 2 different fuel tanks, of course. But there are flexible fuel cars, so those digits could be used for that, or it could be the manufacturer. Then you have these digits here, okay, which tells you the brand, it tells you the engine size and the type. So sometimes if people have modified a car from stock, and stock is how it came off the assembly line when it was manufactured, okay, when it was brand new. And a lot of times engines and differentials and brake systems and everything's been modified. People change it around, and that's fine. It's wonderful. You can really, you know, change a car and make it handle better and give it more performance. But some people want to buy that car and they want it to be stock, so they can look at these numbers and find out what engine was in there originally. And if you've modified it, they might walk away and say, yeah, you know, that's really gonna cut down on the value of the vehicle, you know, if I keep it in my car collection or whatever. So that's the original when it was brand new. This is a security code, tells you right here. This digit is the model year. This digit here indicates the plant that it was assembled at. And then these digits here at the end are the number in sequence that it came off the assembly line, right? So this one here is the 109,186th vehicle of this model. We don't know what it is, okay? And if you're a collector, you know, this number here is kind of important to you as well, because you want to see what number in sequence that rare car might be. So it makes it more rare if it's like one there's only been a certain amount of them made. All right, anybody got any questions at all? Nope. Okay. All right. So the Bureau of Automotive Repair, or BAR, okay, BAR, as you see here, okay. Now that's not the same bar that we do. We take our bar exam to become a lawyer, okay. They are the government agency that oversees repair shops, and they do their own undercover videos and their own undercover work sometimes to make sure that shops are doing things that they're supposed to. Especially smog shops. Like several years ago, smog shops were, some were doing illegal smogs. Like, so if a car doesn't pass a smog, they would bring a vehicle into a smog shop, and then they would take that probe and they wouldn't put it in that vehicle's exhaust. They would put it into another vehicle's exhaust that maybe is parked right next to it. And they know that vehicle will pass smog. Okay, and you see how you could do that, right? So it'll make the machine read like your car passed smog, but it didn't. So sometimes they'll do undercover, you know, stuff like that to make sure that shops are doing what they're supposed to do, and then they'll fine you or shut your shop down if you're not. So now this video I'm going to play for you. This is from the 80s. It's very old. I actually took a VHS tape Okay, you know, the VHS tapes. I don't know if you guys even know those, because you probably dealt with DVDs. And now we don't even deal with DVDs too much. It's all digital. But before DVDs, we had tapes, and this was on a tape, and I needed to get it digital. So I bought a special connector from Costco where I could connect it to my VCR and then play it and have it go to my computer and make it digital. So it's kind of fuzzy, like the video was we watched, but this is really interesting. They're going to show you a shop that doesn't use repair orders. Okay. And this is the way it used to be when I was a kid. You bring your car in, it'd be knocking or squealing or something would be going on. Okay. And then the mechanic would come over and take a look at it, and he'd listen to it, maybe take it out for a test drive and come back and say, yeah, this is what I think it is. And it's going to cost you this much. It was all done verbally. Okay. Drop it off on Tuesday. I'll work on it. I'll have it ready for you by the weekend. Okay. Okay, great. So I go drop it off, give him the key. You go pick it up, and then he would find other things that were wrong with it that he didn't know when he looked at it before. Yeah, I had to do this, I had to do that. You know, it needed this, it needed that. Okay. So I had to charge you this much because I had to replace those things. And you'd just be like, oh, okay. Or it would really tick people off. Like, oh, you know, like, hey, why didn't you call me? Why didn't you tell me before you did that? Because I don't have $500. I only had the $300 that you said it was going to cost. So it really caused a lot of issues. So the state came out with this Write It Right program on how to write a repair order correctly. They still have it. I think I put the brochure on the assignment so you can take a look at it in Google Classroom. Okay. They don't have a video anymore, but I found my video that I made. So this is 20 minutes long. I'm going to pause it as we go along, but pay attention to this. Okay. It's a dramatization of how shops used to be and how they should be. Okay. Any questions, anybody? No? Saul, you still there?
Yes.
Oh, nice, nice. I caught a couple people yesterday. Actually, I have to lower their participation grade. I'm like, hello, hello, hello. So obviously they're downstairs in the kitchen making a pizza or something or blending up a shake, and they can't hear me on their phone. Okay. I know how it goes. Mr. B knows how it goes. You can take that phone anywhere and still have class, but you got to make sure you're participating. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, let me play this. Oh, you know what? I got to minimize it. Sorry. Because I got to jack up the volume. Thanks. Can you hear that okay? Luke, can you hear that?
My car needs a tune-up.
I can hear it, yeah.
Okay, good.
I'm gonna have to run to work, so I'm gonna come back about 5.
Okay, this first shop is how it used to be.
All right, we'll have it ready for you at 5.
And I have to have it back tonight because my son has a science fair to go to.
No problem.
Hi, I need a 50,000-mile checkup. I'm in a big hurry, but I would like to get it back tonight if possible. Keys are in the car if you could take care of it, please.
We'll take care of it for you. There's absolutely no problem. I'll check it. You just wait in the waiting room over to the right. All right?
Excuse me, is the car ready?
Yes, ma'am. Here's your bill.
$620? You must be kidding. This must be a mistake.
But didn't you say?
Hi, am I super ready?
Oh, yeah. It's not fixed yet. It'll be another hour or two.
Not fix it. I said I needed it by
Sam,
5
you guys
o'clock.
gonna take all day. I've been waiting here since this morning. He said you'd get it fixed while I was waiting. This is ridiculous. I've been waiting.
It's up there, $32. That's crazy. Why don't you give me a call?
Excuse me, sir. I'm here to pick up my.
$400 parts.
Which one is it?
The white one with the hood up?
Hey, Joe, would you explain to the lady there about the white Plymouth, the problem?
Have you ever been cornered by clients who feel like they've been misinformed and misunderstood? Keeping customers satisfied isn't always easy, but sound business practices can help things run more smoothly. Practices like keeping the customer informed, doing only the work that's been authorized, and by maintaining a written record of all jobs that come into your shop. These good business practices have been incorporated into the Automotive Repair Act. It was written to benefit both the consumer and the auto repair industry. By following the regulations of the Repair Act, you'll be keeping accurate records of all the work you do, and you'll be improving communications with your customers. If a problem should arise, you will be able to protect yourself more adequately from customer complaints. This program will explain how to comply with some of the requirements of the Automotive Repair Act. Attention on 3 different types of transactions: parts and labor, itemize, and tear down.
Hey, morning, morning. Say, you got it.
Okay, so that's how the shops used to be. Okay, and that's what the service writer, right, or the service advisor is there for. They're there to communicate between the technician and the customer to keep them up on what's going on. Okay, it's going to take this long. It's going to cost this much. We're going to need it for a longer amount of time. Oh, we got it done earlier. It's going to be covered under warranty. It's not covered under warranty. It's covered on a recall. It's not covered on a recall. So that communication is what they do. They're the in-between person. Because mechanics time, we're talking, Mercedes, BMW, $200 an hour. They don't have time to go to the phone. Okay. And you're going to see this guy, the mechanic right here. He's going to be using books to look up service information. Okay. They didn't have computers yet when this was made. So you had to use books, and you would look up the year, the make, the model, and you would look up the system, and then you would look up the part, and then there would be a time in there, and then you would just start calculating all those times for each part. Every part has a time that's been allotted to it. It's all figured out for every year, make, and model car. Now we're going to have a program called All Data. It's the same program that the shops use and that the colleges use to look up service information. We're going to get a subscription for it. It's a couple $1,000s a year. And before we do any work in the shop, I'm going to have you students do the same thing that the technician is responsible to do at a shop, because I'm prepping you guys to possibly go out and do this out as a career, or maybe just a job to, help pay your way through college. So we're going to mimic, we're going to mock, we're going to imitate a regular technician servicing cars that come in from the public. So you're going to go to your Chromebook and you're going to pull up the year, make, and model. You're going to make up a repair order, bring it to me. I'm going to check it, make sure it's right, and make sure you have all the parts, and then you can go to work. Okay, just like we would do it at a regular shop. Okay. Anybody have any questions or any kind of comments on that? No? Okay. Because the main purpose of this, all our classes that we take at high school, they're preparing us for college, of course. Okay. But this class prepares you for college, and I'm also preparing you for careers. Okay. So, and we have a pathway that you can actually leave here and go to these training sites. You can leave here and maybe start applying at different automotive repair places that are in this pathway. Okay. And get yourself a part-time or full-time job. So you can pay your way through college, or save some money so you can go to college, or whatever you might need.
A minute, come look at this. My car's leaking water. Now I took it over to my neighbor. He's real good with cars. He says my bottom radiator hose is leaking. Are you listening to me? He says my bottom radiator hose is leaking. Could you replace it? See, it's leaking right there.
I think your water pump bearing is shot. Take a look at the movement here in the fan assembly and all the coolant running out. I'd say you have a combination of problems. What I'd like to do is put a new water pump in your car, then pressure test the cooling system to make sure everything else is up to par.
How much is that going to run me?
Let me look at it up. See, that's 2 hours of labor at $38 an hour, plus $71.50 for the rebuilt part. That comes to a total of $147.50 plus tax. Now, I might find something else wrong with the system after I do the pressure check, but I'll give you a call if I need to revise the estimate.
Okay, go ahead with it. The keys are in the car. Now, here's my card. I gotta go. My ride's waiting.
Hey, wait, I can't do any work without your signature on the estimate.
Okay, okay, where do I sign?
I gotta fill it out first. It'll just take a minute. Okay, your name is George McNeil. Your home address is 35.
The work order is your contract with a customer for a specific job. Most of the information on the invoice is required by law.
39,425. License number.
You must have your customer's authorization to go ahead with the work, or you're not legally bound to pay you.
All righty, if you could just sign right there, please.
Your customer must receive a copy of any document he signs immediately after he signs it.
Here's your copy of the estimate. I'll give you a call in a couple of hours. Okay.
Sometimes you'll find that a car needs additional work, which will cost more than the original estimate. Since your customer is legally required to pay only the amount on the estimate, you must get additional authorization from him before you begin the additional work.
Everybody catch that? They only are responsible for what they signed the estimate for. So if there's any additional work, like I was saying, you have to get them to reauthorize the additional work on top of the primary work that the car came in for. So that's what he's doing right now.
Hello, is George McNeil there?
No, he's not. This is his son. Can I help you?
No, I have to speak with him directly. Do you have any idea when he might be in?
Well,
Remember, your customer is the person who signed the repair order.
hey, wait a minute. Here he is. He just walked in. Dad, the guy from the garage is on the phone. Hello.
Hi, this is Ralph at the garage.
Oh, yeah.
Hi. We replaced your water pump and we pressured your cooling system, but we found that all three of your fan belts were worn and cracked. They'll have to be replaced, and that'll run you another $22.50. That takes your total bill up to $170. Is that okay?
So what did he do there that was not correct?
Replace the parts without asking, I'm guessing.
No, you're close. What do you guys think? Can we play it again for you? There was something he did there that was not correct. Let me back it up. Okay? And pay attention.
Hello.
Hi, this is Ralph at the garage.
Oh, yeah.
Hi. We replaced your water pump and we pressured your cooling system, but we found that all three of your fan belts were worn and cracked. They'll have to be replaced, and that'll run you another $22.50.
So what they do was wrong. Xander, what do you think?
They already replaced the things.
No, that's close too. Alexis, what do you think?
He didn't tell them before, like, what needed to replace. He just said like a specific thing, and now he's calling later saying that another thing needs to be replaced.
No. That's going to happen normally. That's once you get in there and start actually inspecting things and taking it apart, you usually find other worn out parts that need to be replaced. So what he said is, we found out that your fan belts, there's two of them, are worn and cracked, and they'll have to be replaced. They don't have to be replaced. The vehicle drove in with those fan belts. The vehicle can drive back out with those fan belts. Okay. You cannot pressure the person or lie to them. Okay. Are the fan belts working right now? Yes. Okay. If you put them back on, will they continue to work? Most likely, they're not going to break right this second. They might if they're really, really bad. Okay. But he should only be suggesting. I found that your fan belts are worn and cracked and they need to be replaced. I mean, they could break at any time. That's what he should be saying. It's not that they have to be replaced. Like they really don't, and sometimes those belts will last a long time. I was talking about timing belts, right? I had a teacher that had a Toyota and they didn't do any service to it at all. No timing belt. I think they went 300,000 miles and they never changed the timing belt and it never broke. Okay, so I'm not saying do that. I'm saying the parts last for different amounts of time. So it's all how you service your cars and what you feel comfortable with. Do you want your wife, when you get married, do you want your daughter, do you want your sister out driving in a vehicle where something could break and they could be stranded? Probably not from that standpoint. But if you're a single teenage guy, right? If you break down, it's not a big deal. You just get on your cell phone today and you call AAA and they'll come out and tow you and then you get it taken care of. But for women, sometimes it's not good to be stranded in an area that's not populated or whatever, so I wouldn't say wait and don't service stuff like that, but so he shouldn't pressure him. He should just suggest it.
That takes your total bill up to 170. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Go ahead and replace it.
When you receive additional authorization, you must record the information on your invoice. This specific notation is required by law and may protect you in case of a misunderstanding.
Spoke with George McNeil. Date, the time.
Okay, so I want to pause it here. Everybody see that screen okay?
Yeah,
I can see it good.
Okay, why would there be a spot on a repair order to mark how much fuel is in the car?
That way they don't siphon your fuel out.
Right. They don't siphon your fuel, right? Also, maybe they're going to try and pull a Ferris Bueller day off. Everybody know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. They're going to take your car out for a little ride. Okay. And dealerships have done this. Repair shops have done this over the years. I think some still do, right? They want to go out to lunch. Maybe they don't have a car. Maybe the wife's got the car, right? Your car's sitting there. It's all done. They'll jump in your car and run down and, go pick up lunch or go run through the drive-through or something like that. Okay. It's done all the time. Dealerships, they'll pick, they'll take a car from the lot and go. It happened to me at a very, very well-known dealership. It's called Toyota of Orange, and they're one of the highest, hottest, most largest volume Toyota dealers in Orange County, if not Southern California. They have a little song. I wouldn't have got a lemon at Toyota of Orange. I've been hearing that since I've lived in California. Anyway, I took my van. I took it there to have something done. I don't know if it was a recall or something that I didn't want to do. Right, so I took it there. I dropped it off. They had it over the weekend. I picked it up on Monday, and I noticed that my gas gauge was down a quarter of a tank. And I'm like, wait a second. I knew how much gas I had because this is like around 08 and gas was like over $5 a gallon. It would cost you over $100 to fill your tank up if you had a 20-gallon tank, and a lot of cars do. Okay, it was 5 something. It was like the highest I've ever seen it. It was a lot, and I noticed how much gas was down. So I looked at the miles, and they wrote down the miles. There's a mileage in. They note the mileage when you come in, and there's a mileage out. Okay, and I noticed that the mileage of me picking it up, there was over 100 miles that had been put on my car. And I'm just like, WTF. I'm like, really? So you're allowed to test drive a car. And I think there's 15 miles. You can put up to 15 miles on a car because they're going to have to test drive it when you drop it off to try and duplicate the symptoms you brought it in for. And then they're going to have to test drive it after they've fixed it to make sure that those symptoms are gone and that they've taken care of it. So they might go out for 2 or 3 test drives. It might be 4 or 5 miles, around the shop area to duplicate, what the issue is. So 15 miles is okay. Even if they had put 20 miles on it, 25, it's not a big deal. But over 100 miles, so somebody decided to take my van and take it out for a weekend trip or something. Okay, and I was livid about it. And I went back in. I was teaching auto at the time, and I said, "Excuse me." I says, "Somebody's put over 100 miles on my car, and that's totally unacceptable." And I should have had them just give me the whole repair. It was like $400 or close to it just have them give it to me for free and then, forget about it. But I think he started off by denying it. And I said, no, the mileage doesn't lie. And then he started saying, well, how about I give you some free oil changes? And I'm like, no. So I think he knocked off like $150 or something like that. And I was okay with that and I walked away. But this kind of stuff happens, and you got to make sure that you don't do this kind of stuff as a technician, because people are watching this. The owners of the vehicles are watching this. You don't want to do a Ferris Bueller, okay? Go log 300 miles on a super rare, Ferrari or whatever that was, okay? So that's what the gas gauge is. And I've had students tell me during these times, and I remember in 2008 is when I was still teaching at La Habra, that the students would tell me, because we kind of get close and we're in the shop a lot, right? And they would just flat out admit, yeah, Mr. Bruestle, I go out on the weekends at night and I've been siphoning some gas, out of cars just so I have gas in my car because I can't afford to buy it. And, I would tell them, no, that's dishonest. You can't do that. That's stealing. Okay. So that's why a lot of the fuel caps now, or the fuel doors are all locked. You can't get in them, from the outside anymore. That's when a lot of them weren't. That was 13 years ago. So people do steal gas, and people do take your car and drive it when they're not supposed to, when you haven't it repaired. And then if you notice right there where it says prior body damage, if you've ever rented a car or rented a piece of equipment, they're going to go around the equipment or the car and they're going to make a note of the damage that's on it when you're renting it. And then they're going to do the same thing when you come bring the vehicle back, and they're going to make a note if you've added any damage to it. So you want to make sure that, that you do that as a technician, or that the service writer has done that, or the repair, the service, the guy who's writing it up, okay? Or if you're the person writing it up, make sure you make a note of it, because if you don't catch something, then they're going to blame the dealership. And this has happened before. Oh, that dent wasn't there. When I dropped the car off, that dent wasn't there. You guys made that dent. And they are parked in pretty tight areas. They have a lot of cars back in those repair areas, and they park them real tight. And one person can door ding another car, and the metal's kind of, not very thick these days. And a door ding doesn't take very much to get a door ding or a dent or something. So, if you didn't make a note of it, you're going to be blamed for it, or the shop's going to be blamed for it. And then you're looking at $1,000 because you got to get that dent out. You got to, fill it. You got to prime it. You got to paint it, tape it all off. Okay. Unless you can do paintless dent removal, which they can do amazing things with that. But, you got to make a note of it on here, because that car is a really expensive, piece of equipment. Okay. Any questions, anybody? Okay. So he's making a note that he talked to him and authorized the extra repairs, because we can't do it unless they authorize it.
Additional cost.
And then it's itemized. See, itemize each part.
Additional work. And the total revised estimate.
Hello. Evening. She's all ready for you, Miss McNeil. Oh, great.
As we discussed, we put in a new water pump, pressure tested the cooling system, and installed fan belts. So your parts came to $94, labor is $76, and your total is $170 plus $564 tax, and that brings your total to $175.64.
I'm sure glad you got it out on time.
Thank you.
We got a wedding to go to tonight, and my wife would be real upset if we don't get down to Lodi in time for her to see your sister marry this punk.
Excuse me. This is the last one.
There are times when a customer can't be there to sign the work order. Before any work is done, you must contact the customer for authorization.
Hello?
Hello, Mrs. Porter.
Yes.
All right, so this person dropped off their car before work and before the shop opened, okay? And a lot of repair shops have early bird services, and they'll have envelopes out there. So you bring your car in, you fill the envelope out, name, address, phone number, while you're dropping it off, and then you put the keys inside, and then you slip it through a slot or put it in a special box. And then when they get in, they get your car, and then they'll call you up like, what's happening here?
Yeah, this is Greg, Downtown Automotive. I got mention note about your tan Honda. You say it's hard to start. Have you noticed any other problems?
There's just no power. I don't know, maybe it needs to tune up. I haven't had one done for a couple years.
Okay, well, what I want to do is put your car on the ignition analyzer and check it out and find all the problems, and then I'll give you a call back and we can go from there.
Gosh, how much will that be?
Oh, it's going to cost $20 for the diagnosis.
You mean it's gonna cost me $20 just to find what's wrong with my car?
Be sure your customer understands that your estimate is for a specific job.
Okay, go ahead with it.
Make complete notations when your customer gives you authorization. Name, date, time, phone number you called, and the specific job description and cost.
We've done the diagnosis, and here's what your car needs. Need another distributor cap, and that's going to run $17.
So this is an itemized, if you've heard the term itemized, that just means item by item, okay? And sometimes you don't even have enough room in these sections to put all the parts that you're going to have to use. Maybe if you're doing an engine rebuild or you're doing multiple repairs or multiple services, you can't get them all on here, and then they usually overflow onto another piece of paper or another repair order. So this is each individual part and then what each one costs, okay? So the distributor cap is 12 bucks. The rotor is $5. The spark plug wires are 38 and so on. Now the spark plugs are 4 of them. So they're 250 each, right? Because it's 10. You got to take 10 divided by 4. Air filter, 7 something, fuel filter, and so on, right? So it's itemized, item by item.
And another
An itemized estimate includes a list of all the parts to be replaced and all the labor to be performed.
Okay, so your parts come to a total of $84. Your labor is $110 for a total of $194 plus tax.
Well, if it'll fix all my car's problems.
Well, it'll correct the problems you complained about.
Okay, so see how he corrected her? Okay, very specific. Okay, is this gonna fix, this will fix all my car's problems? And he says, he corrects her and makes sure that she's aware of it. No, this is gonna fix the issues that we are discussing, not all the problems. Okay, so keep everything very crystal clear and make sure that the customer is following you along. So there's no discrepancy. Okay.
Okay, go ahead with it.
If there are any changes to the original itemized estimate, then you must contact your customer again and get their okay.
Hello?
Hello, Mrs. Porter. This is Greg at Downtown Auto. Well, while I was working on your car, I found that your power steering hose had a leak in it. Yeah, it's going to cost $35 parts and $28 labor to replace it.
Are you sure it needs it?
Well, yeah, it's leaking pretty bad and it might make your car hard to steer.
All right, go ahead and replace it.
Okay. Okay, so that brings your total to $119 parts, $138 for your labor, for a total of $257 plus tax. Okay?
Okay.
All right, I'll have it ready for you at 4.
That'll be fine.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Again,
Bye-bye.
you must make a notation of the person who authorized the job, the phone number you called.
So remember, they didn't have computers, so everything was written. Okay. He's making a note of who he talked to, when, right? The phone number he called, and then how much that they authorized for the extra work. So this is what the service writer will do. But if you work at a smaller shop, more of an independent shop where they only have 1 or 2 locations, and they're not very busy, you might be doing this yourself. Okay. So you just got to make sure, remember, this is a legal document. So if it ever comes up that, oh, no, I never authorized that. No, I made a note of it, so-and-so talked to so-and-so and they did authorize it. So there's no argument. Okay. All right. Anybody got any questions on any of that? I'm going to stop it right there. It does go a little further. Okay. Hang on. I got to get past this video. There it goes. All right. So can everybody see this okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just going to explain this, and you guys are going to have an assignment you're going to do. You have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to do this. It should be done by Monday. Okay. So this is just a normal auto repair shop repair order, just a generic one, okay? I put the high school's information in there because we're going to function as Carmel High School Auto Shop, okay? And this wants you to know, what's nice about this is shows you there's different sections, and you have to get the information from the customer and from the car, and then put that information into this repair order in the section it's supposed to go in, okay? So let me click on this. So what I did is I took that repair order up and I laser cut it with my Luke Skywalker, right, lightsaber, okay? I cut it up into sections. So there's just what it is, the document, okay? That's where the company would go, okay? So we're Carmel High School Auto, but if you had Aiden's repair service, it would go there, okay? The description of the work. So this is the reason why the vehicle was brought in to begin with. Why is the vehicle coming into the shop? That's going to go in this area here. 30,000 mile service, ticking sound when the car engine's cold, a clicking sound when I make a turn. Okay, it's all going to go in there. This is going to be the vehicle information. Okay, you can see it there. The year, make, model, VIN. Okay, license number, mileage, when it was brought in. Okay, and who's writing up the repair order goes there. Okay, then the customer information is going to go here. Name, address, city, state, phone numbers. Extremely important you get all phone numbers, okay? If you have to call them back for additional authorization, you have to get a hold of them right away, or that vehicle is going to get put on the side because you can't do anything until you get authorization. And then it'll wait until they call you back, okay? So that's where the customer information goes. This is going to be any parts that you need. Remember, those are the things you can touch, see, feel, right? The actual parts. And then labor, that's the actual action of taking the parts and putting them on and taking the old ones off, okay? And then you got totals. So the total for parts will come down here. The total for labor will come over here, right? Sublet, we talked about. If there's any sublet, maybe the radiator's got to get sent out. Maybe the heads have to be remanufactured or something, or redone. Okay, that'll be there. What would be environmental charges? Okay, I'm going to call on somebody. How about Matthew? What do you think environmental charges are?
Pollution, maybe smog pollution.
Well, that's a good guess. It's wrong, but it's a good guess. What do you think, Angel? Angel, you there? Okay, let's try. How about Luke?
What was the question?
On the repair order, there's a section here for environmental charges. I'm circling it with my cursor. What do you think that's for?
Like using environmentally friendly fuels and like stuff that's environmentally friendly.
Okay, that's a good guess too. It's wrong. Okay. I think Matt just put down, oh yeah, Matt's actually got it. Okay. It's like, say if you take oil out of the car, right? You're doing an oil change, which is like your main service that you'll be doing a lot. You have to dispose of the used oil and you have to pay for that. So you're going to charge that back to the customer. I have to dispose of your used oil filter. I got to charge you for that. Just a couple dollars, right? But there is a charge for it. So maybe I have coolant I have to get rid of. Okay. So that's something else. So it's charges that the shop. Yep. Tire disposal fee too. Great, Aiden. Okay. Right. So that's that. Sales tax, 9.25%. Just found that out last week. You guys are high here. It's 8%. I think 8% down in Orange County. LA is like 10%. That's a high sales tax, but we're 9.25 here. That's only on parts, not labor. They have not started taxing labor yet. Thank you. Okay, because it's the biggest charge you have on auto repairs. And if they start charging tax, you're gonna pay almost another 10% on that. And that's a lot of money. So hopefully they never ever do that. Okay, and then this is where the totals are gonna go. The estimate, right? When you gave it, who did it? And if you got any additional authorization for other things you found once you got into the vehicle and started doing the service, okay? And then down the bottom, this is where the customer is going to sign it and authorize it for you to start doing repairs. Okay, so there's your overall general repair order. Okay, so I assigned you guys yesterday the worksheet. It's in Google Classroom. Okay, and you have to read the worksheet, and then you're going to fill out a repair order. This repair order, you're going to fill it out. So you got to read the paragraph and read where it says the customer's name, and then type that in customer name. And then you need to read, keep going. And if it tells you the year, the make, the model, you're going to put that in here where it says year, make, and model. And then where it says the mileage, you're going to click that over here where it says mileage. So that form is completely fillable. I made it fillable yesterday. It's sitting in Google Classroom and I already signed it to you. So you have today, tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. So it should be done by Monday. Okay. Because I'm going to go over it Monday. So after Monday, I'm going to close it out because once I go over it, I'm giving you the answers. Okay. Okay. I'm giving you the answers for it. So I can't let the date go past Monday. So try and get it done. All right. If you have a problem typing it in, then just print it out and just write it in. If you can, just take a picture of it. Okay. Anybody have any questions? There's two of them. Customer one, customer two. So put customer one on customer one, put customer two on customer two. Okay. And I got, somebody that wants to talk to me. Okay. I'll let you guys go a couple minutes early. Anybody have any comments or questions? Nope. Okay. It should be a piece of cake. If you were paying attention today, it's a piece of cake. Okay. And then the worksheet also explains some of it too. I put the video, a link to the video that we just watched in there too. Okay. And then I think I put some a rip-off video in there if you want to watch that as well. Okay. And of course, if you have some issues, email me. Okay. All right. I'll let you guys go. Have a wonderful weekend. Okay.
Thank you too.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Bruestle, I had a quick question.
Yeah.
So as far as like the flex time, when we're let back into the shop, are we going to be allowed to like bring our vehicle in?
I haven't been approved for that yet. I put an application in for flex time. So I got to see how it's going to work because there's certain spacing requirements that we have to kind of follow. Okay. There's gloves I think we're going to need to wear. I can't supply those. I don't have a budget for those. So you're probably gonna have to buy a box of gloves. And then for your car, there's probably gonna be a form you gotta fill out. I gotta make sure that you have a driver's license. I gotta make sure it's insured. Okay. Registration's not the biggest deal, but I gotta make sure it's got current insurance and you have a driver's license.
Okay, is it fine if like, because I have my driver's permit, if like I drive it there with my dad and then park it there in the shop, it's registered and insured too.
Yeah, as long as you're driving correctly and following the rules, because once you get on school property, then that's where the issue comes in, because this is school property. So if there's ever an accident, and we haven't had those in any of the classes I've worked at, thank goodness, but I have heard about it. And also they find out that the student's not licensed, there's no insurance on the car, and there's a big problem.
Yeah, because what I could just do is I could just have like me and my dad drive there and I have my permit. And then when it's there, you can move it if you need to.
Yeah, we don't have a ton of parking, Aiden. You know how it is out here. It's really, I don't like how narrow this is out here.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's I can't redesign the building. I heard that in the future they're going to be actually building a new building, and who knows when that's going to happen, but it's supposed to be some kind of bond or some kind of modernization. So, I mean, but we have to deal with what we got. And people kind of fly down here too. They fly through here from what I've seen.
Yeah.
I don't know, because they're doing testing for COVID over here on the other side. Maybe that's why they're coming through here so fast. It's people that don't normally come to the school. Like I'll be out here and they just come zipping through here. I'm just like saying, slow down, because you only have about barely a car width to get through some of these spots.
Yeah.
So if it's a truck or something, it's gonna stick out. I don't know, I might have to park it like down the hill or something.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring my truck in and just get it up on the lift and just look underneath it.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll have plenty of time because flex time is gonna be like an hour
Yeah.
at the
So I
end.
saw there's like multiple flex time spots. So is there a certain amount of time that we're allowed to be here for flex time?
You just sign up for it.
Like I'm saying, like if there's like 2 flex time spots and there's an available spot for both times, could we be here for both times?
Yeah.
Or limit how much we can be on campus?
Yeah, no. I think, well, they haven't told me that it's limited to like the amount of time per student. I think it's just per students in one time slot. So if you come to 2 time slots, we're not maxing out on students, because you're only going to be able to sign up like maybe 6 or 8 people, So I'll have a sign up sheet. You just sign up. So if you can sign up for multiple, then sign up for multiple. But you can't be here. Well, you're not going to have class anyway because it's after class. Yeah, that's fine.
All right, because I just know for like robotics, we're only allowed to have 10 people at once and meet for 2 hours max.
Oh, okay. Then we probably have to follow those guidelines because Mr. Clifford probably knows more on that because he's already meeting. So we'll probably have to follow that. Oh my gosh, I just forgot our assistant principal's name. Oh, Miss Puente. Miss Puente is handling all the people that have applied to use that flex time and the requirements. So what she hasn't got back to me yet. So I'll start sharing it with you once she starts sharing it with me.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Have a good weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.